Okay, guys, this is going to be just a shorter video explaining the one-to-many relationships and why it is so important. Okay, so just to recap, okay, I'm going to close this, close my relationship. First, I'm going to save it, then I'm going to close it. Okay, don't forget, Access database is what's known as a relational database. So I've got my tables here. Okay. And I can connect these tables, okay? In other words, I can have a field that can connect to another field in this table. That's why Access database is so amazing, because it can connect databases instead of a flat database like Excel is. This is a more dynamic database and can pull in information from one table to the other, okay? So what I did in the previous video is I created a one-to-many relationship between the J216 ad sports table and the J216's rating table. In other words, this rating field that was in ad sports links up via the activity rating in this field, in this table. So essentially these two tables are now linked by the rating and the activity rating field. And just to recap, how I did that is I went to Database Tools, and I clicked on Relationships, okay? I'm just going to open that. I'm going to close these. I'm going to open up my one to, I want to create a new one, okay? So yeah, in the last video, I showed you how to create this video, how to link these up, okay? So what this says is that this rating field is linked to this activity rating field, and these two tables are now connected. Okay, so when I create queries or forms or whatever that I do, or report, I can pull in values from both these tables. Okay, now let me see here what they ask for. Place in your evidence document screenshot showing the relationship between the two tables. Okay, so this little infinity sign shows me that I've got a one-to-many relationship between the activity rating and the rating, okay? I want to make sure that I get a full point for this. So if I double-click on that line and I hit Edit Relationships, okay, I'll get this box, okay? So this is, I want a screenshot of both these things to make sure that I get full points. Okay, so I'm just going to, as I said, get a screenshot of that. And that's going to go into evidence 9. Evidence 9. Okay. So here we go. Evidence 9. I'll cut and paste that. I'll crop it so that it's easier to see. Oh. Right, okay, just going to span that a little bit more so you guys can see it as well. Great, so I can see that it's a one-to-many relationship, and I've got my edit relationships, which proves as well that it's a one-to-many relationship, connecting my rating field with my activity rating field. Great. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we're going to go into this. Okay, we're going to use the fields from both the J216 ad sports and the J216's rating tables to produce a report. Okay, let me speak about this. Okay, so in order to create a report, all right, I first need to create a query based on all these values that they give us, okay? And let me just go back to my database and explain what the heck's going on. Okay, so I'm going to close all this, close my relationship, okay? Once again, it's very important that there are no mistakes in this relationship, okay? So, in other words, the field type in rating is the same data field type as activity rating. If they are not the same, Okay, so rating is an integer. Activity rating is also an integer. If they were not the same data field type, I could not create this relationship. If I don't create this relationship, I won't be able to create queries with these two forms. I won't be able to create reports then based on those queries. In other words, let me tell you, these next marks, the next 16, yes, the next 16 marks, I will not be able to get because I have screwed up my relationship, okay? All right, I didn't screw up my real relationship, just my Access database. All right, so let's go back to here. Let's see, I've got about 5 minutes that I've done so far. All right, let me start this, this query then. And I'll explain what we're doing. Okay, so these are my tables that I've created. That's the form that I created. Okay, now I want to create a report. Okay, so we go into the create. All right, here's my report wizard. But before I create a report, at least for the purposes of this test, I have to create a query. And let me explain why. I can create a report without creating a query. I could just import these two tables, and I could print off fields in these tables if I wanted to. But this test tells me I have to create a special type of report which use fields from both these things, will display certain things like water, but not display other things such as, won't display Scotland, okay? So I have to create a query first, which will show some of these things. From that query, then, I can then print a report, okay? So let's get into it. All right, so like I said, I'm in now the Create tab. I don't want to create a report first. I need to create a wizard first, okay? So I'm going to go into the Create Wizard, all right? Simple wizard, sure. Okay, now, let me see, okay? Which fields do I want in my query? Very good question. Okay, so let's go back to my test and see what I want. Okay, so if I go down here, it shows me I want to show only the fields course code, location, activity, level, duration, residential, and daily cost in this order. Okay, so those are the fields that are certainly going to be visible. All right, there are going to be other fields that I'll need in that query which will be invisible, and I'll explain how we make those invisible, okay? But I certainly want to see these fields in my query. I'm going to need other fields, but they will be invisible, okay? So let's start with this. Let's try to import these fields in this order, okay? So go back to my database, and just to reiterate, I want the fields course code, okay? So if I have this drop-down menu here, okay? This will show me the different tables that I have that I can select my fields from. Okay, so let's start with the Add Sports table. First thing I want is my course code field. Okay, so I'll click on that one arrow there. Next thing I want is location. Okay, great. Click on location. The next thing I want is activity. Okay, so I do want activity. I'll select that. Oops, don't want type, not so fast. Activity. I now want level. Okay, well, I don't see any level here, so let's click on ratings. Okay. Okay, so I clicked on my ratings table, and I do see level. Okay, so I'll put in level in there. The next thing I want is duration. Okay, so duration is not in there. I got to go back to my Add Sports table, and I want duration. Okay, duration, residential. I also want residential. Okay, residential and daily cost. Okay, well, I don't have daily cost here, and I don't have daily cost in my ratings. Okay, so let's go back, figure out what that is. What is that daily? Sorry, what is that daily cost? Okay, so go back here. So in my report, I want to have a new field called daily cost, which is calculated at runtime and displayed as currency. This field will calculate the course cost divided by duration. Great, so they tell me at least the formula that I have to do to create that. Okay, so don't have daily cost. I'm going to create that in my query. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so we'll go back here. I'm just going to double check that I have all of these fields in that order. So course code, yes, I want that. I want location. Yep. I want activity in that order. Yep. I want level. Yep. I want duration. Yep. I want residential. Okay. Great. Those are going to be in that order. Okay. I am now going to import these other fields, even though they won't be visible. Okay. Because it might be that I need those. And in fact, it will be that I will need those. Okay. It's important. Type, and I know for sure that I will need course cost. Okay. Yep, I want to show my details. Okay. Does it say, do I have to name the query anything special? It does not stipulate that anywhere, so I'm just going to leave it as the default for now. J216 add sports query. Okay, finish that. Okay, great. So I've created my first query. All right, I've got all of these fields here. Some of them I want to be visible. Some of them I don't want to be visible. Okay, so I'm going to change that then. Okay, I'm going to go to design view. Okay, so I certainly want, let's get rid of that property sheet. I certainly want course code to be visible. I want location to be visible. I want activity to be visible. I want level to be visible. I want duration to be visible. I want residential to be visible. Daily cost, I haven't created that yet. Okay, so I want activity rating to not be invisible. Description to be invisible. Type to be invisible. Rating to be invisible. And course cost to be invisible. Okay, great. I'm going to save that. Okay, now in the design tab, now I'm in the, in my query type under the design tab, I can hit run, that little exclamation mark, and it'll show me. Okay, so like I said, we have all those other fields that are still appearing in my query, but they are now invisible. And in this query, I have now only visible course code, location, activity, level, duration, and residential. Let's double check. So I want only to be visible course code, location, activity, level, duration, residential, and daily cost. Daily cost I'm going to create, so don't worry about that for now. Let's just double check course code, location, activity, level, duration, residential. Great. Okay, so in the next video, I'm going to show you guys how to create a field that will run at runtime in a query.